So on the topic of education and real estate, how did you come to, you've made some of the biggest moves in terms of number of doors owned in the last 28 months, right?
Yeah.
So like, how did you go from health and wellness expert to expert in real estate investing?
You know, that's an interesting question. So going back to 2005, that was like when I remember reading the first book on real estate. It was called The Millionaire Real Estate Investor, and it was a Keller Williams book, Gary Keller and Jay Papasan, and really good book. It was kind of like the textbook on like how to invest. Right. And I kind of did it, and I actually did take action. So the first house I ever bought, I bought it like owner occupied, but I actually rented it out. And then like I moved back in my parents' basement. I was like 24 years old, you know, like Mom and Dad, I'm moving back in, but I bought this house that I'm supposed to live in, but I'm renting it out, you know. And so, you know, it was back then. It was like, you know, so that was like a pretty big first move for me, you know. And then I had a couple more, but I just didn't really have a plan, right? So like I took some action, I got some experience, I learned. Now this is gonna date me, but like 2005, you know, there was no YouTube. I think YouTube was like 06 or 07 maybe.
Yeah.
But no YouTube, no podcasts, you know, so you had to read a damn book. And I'm like, I'm gonna fall asleep reading this book. So I only got so far. But I did take some action. So kind of what happened is like I knew enough to know that like real estate is a great way to create wealth. And it's something that just really takes discipline, and like you just have to do the same thing over and over, and it kind of can get boring. Well, the first time around, you know, I maybe had, I don't know, like 5 or 6 units total. And it was one of those things where like I wanted to be rich, I wanted to hit a home run, and like it didn't happen in a year and a half. Like why not? You know, so I got bored. And I was just young, and I didn't know that I just had to keep hitting singles and just keep going and keep going. So true. And so like I kind of jumped around and did other things. But then, you know, through my nutrition and performance business, I had some very successful clients in real estate, including Jeff Cohn, Frank Klesitz, a couple other guys. And I was like, all right, like I know this is what I need to do. No offense to those guys, but I'm like, they're not that much smarter than me. Like I can do this, right? And so it was just one of those things where like I listened to Bigger Pockets podcasts, I watched stuff on YouTube, and finally, like when I got sick in 2019, I was just like, all right, I know what to do. Just freaking do it. Just freaking do it. And I just took action. And honestly, for a long time, I thought I need to have a partner. I need to have a mentor. I need to have somebody to do this with because I'm scared to do it alone and I might mess up. And 2019 forced me to just do it. And I took action. And now, I mean, you know, I've actually surpassed most of my mentors. You know, in 28, 29 months, I've surpassed my mentors. And I was like begging them to like partner with them. And now they're probably like, damn, we should have probably partnered with that guy, you know? But I just kind of did my own thing and took massive action. And then all the other businesses I've been involved in, I've used those skills to help grow it. And I think the two things I took previously that I've done a great job with to scale this is using virtual assistants. So like I have had experience using virtual assistants and a virtual team. So I can have a lot more people work for me for a lower cost. And being involved in fitness, nutrition, and optimization, like details are very important. Like I'm a very, very detailed person, like anal retentive detailed person. And so I'm used to that, where I think most investors are more entrepreneurial, kind of, you know, like big thinkers, but they're maybe not great at the details. Whereas like I'm a little bit of both. And so like I'm a spreadsheet guy, I'm a detail guy. And so like I literally put together like all these systems and processes that have allowed us to scale very quickly. And so I think those skills helped scale things. And then the other thing that I'll be honest, like I really did learn from Jeff Cohn is people leverage, like how to recruit and train and hire the right people and how to give them an opportunity to make their world big in your world. Like what does Gary Keller say? He has a famous quote about this. It's like, give people the opportunity to make their world so big within yours that they don't want to leave. You know, so like my first big hire was my sister. And it's like, she did well, you know, and so I'm like, shit, like she approached me and I'm like, I don't know how I can pay you, like, you know, and then like, you're my sister, if this doesn't work, I'm gonna feel like a real asshole. So, you know, so like she's leaving a big city that she loves and this, you know, she had a pretty good life. And I'm like, all right, so what we're gonna figure out like a small base, tons of incentives. And if you do well, you can make way more than you made, but it, you know, you're gonna have to work. And so we came to an agreement, it's gone extremely well. And then my second hire, it's the same deal. My third hire is the same deal. And it's like, wow, okay. So what changed for me was just like hiring the right people.
Yeah.
You know?
It's hard to do.
Yeah.
Right? Because sometimes you think
That's
one
an
thing and
understatement.
then managing people is difficult. But I think, if someone's watching this and they're hearing about you, like, oh, great, he's blessed, he's operational, and he's like big thinker, and he's like super driven. I think that's okay. Like, I think what people have to do is understand what their strengths are, right? You know yours. But if you're somebody that's like big picture, entrepreneurial, has all these ideas, then you find somebody who's operational and who can carry out the details. And until you do, like, you gotta, like, if you really want to start a business, like, you gotta be able to do everything.
Right.
But your experience has taught you that and got you there.
100%.
Because you've done it all.
And here's the deal. Like, this is my highlight reel. Like, we could talk about failures all day long. There's plenty of stuff I've failed. There's things I've lost money on, but, everything looks amazing in the last 28, 29 months. But, like, there was a road to get there, believe me. Yeah, there was pain. And there was many times when I was frustrated. Like, why isn't this working? Why am I not here? And, like, you shouldn't compare yourself to people. But, like, I worked with some pretty, like, high-profile, wealthy people. And so you become around that on a normal basis, and you're comparing yourself to, people who are worth hundreds of millions, yeah, like millionaires and billionaires. And so it's good and bad, but it's all relative.
It drives you, right? Because you see where you could go. But I think, something I've always heard is don't compare your first chapter to someone else's, 10th chapter or whatever. Because they've been doing it for a while, so give yourself time to get there.
Exactly. And I think people too, you have to always look at, like, the funny thing is, so many of my clients, like, if I go back to like 2017, 18, those were like 2 years where I was still traveling a ton and coaching a ton. And that's when I really started to work with a lot of wealthy business owners. I'd work with like professional athletes, and of course they're wealthy, but like not all of them are super smart with their money.
Business.
Yeah. And so then,
yeah.
like, I started working with these high-end business people, and I just had this itch, like, man, like, I should be doing this. Like, why am I not doing this shit? Like, I know this. Like, I should be doing it. And so it kind of eats at you. Like, I don't know the exact quote, but it's like, nothing is more painful than knowing what to do and not doing it. And it could be with your body, it could be with nutrition, it could be with business, it could be with finance, it could be with the relationship, it could be with anything. Like, what to do, but you're not taking action. And so that's kind of how I felt like 2017, 18, 19, and finally I needed something drastic to happen to kick my butt into gear.
It sure did.
It sure did.
I'm sure you would never say you were lucky to have gone through that, but you've come out on the other side in a much more positive place. Not that it wasn't super positive before, but you knew there needed to be a change, right?
Right.
And that ultimately, I think, kind of was the catalyst for you doing what you do now.
100%. I have told this to a few people close to me in my life. I don't know if I ever would have done what I've done in the last 20 or 29 months if I hadn't felt the pain from 2019.
That's super powerful, because you had to come near death, basically.
Yeah, I had to realize there's an end. There's a freaking end. Like whether you're out there, like, you want to make more money, you want to start a business, you want to find a relationship, you want to change your body, whatever you want. Like, time is ticking. There's an end. Like, start today. Don't wait till the freaking trip. 2 weeks when the trip is over. Don't wait till the first of the year. Don't wait till your birthday. Just fucking go.
Right. Don't wait till it gets easier. Don't wait.
Yeah.
If someone doesn't, hopefully come into contact with a near-death experience, I would say, and I'm sure you would agree, like, you've got to figure out what your why is.
100%.
Right? I mean, you had your why through what you went through, but that takes time.
Right.
Like, you can't just sit down at the table for an hour and say, like, here's my why.
Right.
It's like self-reflection and figuring out what matters. So
I think, yeah, and like my why, like, I feel like I've always been pretty clear on my why. Like, I want freedom, I want a big life, I want possibilities, and when I say freedom, I want financial freedom, time freedom, location freedom. Like, I want to live a life where I'm free, nobody tells me what to do, and I want to be able to support a future family and have, like, no constraints. So that's always been my why, but I just have a huge sense of urgency now.